scores, any of these things, it was line leaders that were accountable. HR played an important supportive role, delivery, but there was no question who's accountable. And if you can't fix this, you're never going to change. Okay? If you can't get to an environment where you will not simply be able to progress further in the company as a business leader, if you don't also deliver good people results, nothing will change, and you might as well just save your money and first fix this. That's the first thing. The second thing is you've got to get a lot more young people into senior management positions. The reality is that almost all breakthroughs and significant achievements are disproportionately driven in this world by young people, not by gray-haired, pot-bellied, middle-aged managers. Okay? And I speak from personal experience. I look at what I was able to do at Cummins and then at Microsoft. Most of it was in my 30s and early 40s, and I was simply too young and foolish to know what was not possible. Now there's maturity and wisdom, and therefore I think 10 times before attempting something foolhardy. And that's the way it is with most companies. So you won't get breakthroughs in the business, you won't change the culture, unless you get lots of young people in significant positions of power and authority. Now if you look at the career progression in our companies, it looks like an escalator, a conveyor belt with a slight incline, right? So most of our promotions are time-based. So if you're on average, you'll get promoted every 4 years or 5 years. We all have talent review processes and leadership development programs for the high performers, so they may move along and get promoted at 2.5, 3 years. But we do the arithmetic. You're pretty close to 50 by the time you're in senior management position. And by then it's too late. You become part of the problem, not part of the solution. And so in addition to this escalator, what you need is a lift, where some people move up at a dramatically faster rate. So what I saw in these companies is a process to identify people with huge potential and take extraordinary bets on them and give them challenges and responsibility far before they are ready, and then watch them grow. Sort of like Arjun's story about Monty. And here's a good story. As I was doing my research, in 2000, it turns out in Hindustan Unilever, K.P. Dadiseth was then the chairman and managing director. They launched an initiative called Project Millennium. It was basically how do we stimulate growth over the next decade or two. And they had a lot, about 13, 14 strategic projects, things like, can we get into the water purifier business? How do we crack rural distribution? There's the emergence of large format retailers. How do we tackle that and so forth? And what KK and his team did was very interesting. They reached deep into the organization and they staffed these initiatives, not with the most senior people, but high potential people in their 20s and 30s. And then he and people like Harish Manwani, etc., engaged deeply with the initiatives. And they could watch how these young stars behave in teams. They could coach and mentor them and so forth. Fast forward 5 years, two things that happened. Some of these initiatives truly took off. So many of you using a Purit water purifier, that was an outcome of this. And Unilever now has a global water business. Their Shakti Amma rural distribution network, where 10% of their product today flows through it, came out of this. But more importantly, a lot of amazing senior leaders emerged. So if you look at Nitin Paranjpur, now the MD of Hindustan Unilever, he was one of the people who came out of this, and so are many others. So that's sort of the point. You want to take disproportionate bets on people with potential. Now, many companies make the mistake of taking disproportionate bets on people who are high performers. That's different, okay? Performance alone is not enough. You need to find people with potential. And through lots of mistakes, I've discovered 4 things you need to look for before you're willing to before you should be willing to take a bet on a person. And those 4 characteristics are: number 1, passion. They have passion and fire in their belly. Number 2, are they entrepreneurial? Do they take initiative? Are they risk takers? Okay, that's pretty important as well. The third one is learning agility. Okay? Which is if this person is thrown into a situation which they've never encountered before, how do they deal with ambiguity and uncertainty? How do they learn to succeed? How tenacious are they in staying with it until they eventually taste success? These are the characteristics which are more important than mere performance. A lot of high performers at some point will just stall out. So you take these people, you give them huge challenges, and then you mentor them and you watch magic happen. Very few of our companies are actually willing to take such bets. So that's kind of number two. But most of all, breaking out of the treadmill, getting off the treadmill, requires a profoundly different leadership of the HR function. I must be careful about what I say, or I may not be invited back again. But, in most of our companies, HR is led by managers, not leaders. You've got people who are very smart and competent about their discipline. They understand compensation, benefits, HR policies, recruiting, and these things. But they have very little understanding of the business, and they have very poor connection with their own people, the employees. Okay? Usually you'll also therefore find the HR leader or manager is not an equal at the leadership table. Okay? They're clearly a notch below in self-confidence, in understanding of the business, and stature. As a result, they're not able to constructively challenge their colleagues. So this has to change. And again, what you need is a very, very, very different profile of leadership. You need HR leaders who really intimately understand the business, have huge credibility, they have courage to really, really challenge things, and have a strategic vision for the kind of transformation they want to see, and they're able to think long term. Now CEOs I speak to say, yeah, I understand that, but such people are rare. They don't grow on trees. Where do I go find them? Who do you know? Can you give me the name? I'll call them. And the advice I give them is very simple, that the leadership of HR is too important to be left to HR. And so what you need to do is pick a really good business head that you have, who's got a good flair for people, and put them in charge of HR, and of course you've got functionally competent people underneath. Or, if you really happen to be luck out and have a good HR person, but they don't really understand the business, then give them responsibility for the business as well. And you're beginning to see evidence of this model in a number of companies. So you take a look at M&M. You've got Rajiv Dubey out there who's running group HR, but he's also responsible for the aftermarket business. You take Prateek Kumar here at Wipro, he runs the infrastructure business in addition to HR. I noticed on the agenda there's Mr. Krishnan of Bosch. I spent quite a lot of time at Bosch, and it was very striking to me. Krishnan started in life as a chartered accountant, then headed finance, went off to their Jaipur plant and was factory manager. Today he's running HR. God knows what he's going to do next. But he's well-rounded. 2 weeks ago I ran into a lady called Shalini Pillai. I don't know if Shalini is in the room. But Shalini used to be a very senior consultant at KPMG, partner. And she said, oh, give me HR next. And so she runs group HR across India for KPMG. So I think you're seeing more and more of this type of model. Conversely, when bright HR managers approach me and say, what advice do you have for me? I said, if you care about your profession, then you should leave the profession. Okay? What I mean is go out into the business, do something real for a few years, understand what it's like to deliver results daily and quarterly, develop huge followership and credibility with employees, and then when you come back in a leadership role, you're going to be unstoppable. So anyway, here are some thoughts. As I said, the talent challenge is very, very eminently solvable. It requires these three things. Number one, hold business leaders accountable for people results. Don't outsource it to HR. Number two, identify young people with huge potential and give them big jobs. And number three, you really need transformational leadership of the HR function. I hope some of these thoughts will provoke ideas and spawn a lot of action in you. I hope it will not provoke you to never invite me again. With that, let me just say thank you, and I wish you all success.
Thank you, Ravi. That was most inspiring. you're always welcome. And I think that, we had Ravi here last year, and he was brilliant then, and he was brilliant today.